All right, everybody, welcome to the Gym Life Podcast, back at Clash, and calling these, of course, Clash live interviews or Clash interviews. And this is one interview. Of course, we couldn't go through the weekend without getting, of course, that is your Clash champion, and maybe a guy that just called his shot again for the second contest in a row. Without any further ado, Andrew Clayton, Clash 105 champion 2023.
Hey, thanks, Joe, for having me on.
Yeah, man, I tell you, speechless really is what comes to mind when I think about the kind of year that you put together. Last couple of shows in particular where you just called your shot.
Yeah, I don't think I really called it for the qualifier for Clash back in August, but yeah, for OSG, I don't know if people saw it, but for a week out, I was posting a bunch of pictures of people holding 3 gold trophies or 3 medals, and that was because I was going to win OSG for the 3rd time. And then someone said on a podcast that I was like the MJ of strongman. I was like, that'd be a good one. So for the last week, I posted pictures of MJ that related to how that day was going, including the one he got the flu. I had a family issue come up that no one knows about, and it was really hard to work through the weekend on. And I was like, well, what does MJ do?
Yeah.
He goes out and does it. And what does MJ do when he's sick or hurt? Like, you just freaking do it. So, that's kind of the vibe I was trying to give out the whole time is like, yeah.
Right. Well, you're tenacious when it comes to the way you compete and the way you get the job done. I mean, really, to describe you as focused. I think if I had one word, right, you're focused. You haven't taken your eye off the prize. You know it was at stake for yourself personally. And I think that was really kind of where this last year has kind of evolved from. It was more of a personal battle with you to want to, I don't know, to prove, I don't know if you need to prove anything to yourself anymore, but just kind of did you feel that way?
Yeah.
Outside of proving to everybody else, was there a part of you that said, listen, I got some things to prove to myself yet too?
Yeah, I mean, anytime an athlete gets injured, I feel like I've seen a lot of people in strongman just like get injured and then they're like, oh, I'm going to make a comeback. I'm going to go back to doing it. And then it's like the hardest they've ever done because they've never been injured before, so they just didn't try. And, and then they start saying, oh, well, I need to focus on my business or I need to focus on this, which are great things to focus on. And obviously, like, I work on those things too. But, like, if you never get back to being close to your best or your best, then you never actually made a comeback to do it. You basically accepted that you got hurt and you can't do it again. So I tried to accept it for about almost 2 years, and then I just posted on Instagram. I did my first contest back. It was a local show, March 26th of 2022. So literally a year today, I did my first show back after getting hurt in 2019. And it just like flipped the switch. I'm like, okay, I'm coming. And then it was just boom, 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 boom. And
that opened the floodgate for you as far as thought was concerned. Like, I'm back. I can do this.
And then it just builds on itself. Like you said, I have a high expectation of myself of what I need to do to perform. And then, like, obviously, if I run my mouth or start telling people I can do it, which I try really hard not to tell, like, really personal goals, but if I start implying or just, like, whatever, like, I'm going to do, well, I have to back that up. And then I have everybody that's, like, working to make sure I make those things happen. So, like, I have all the people that come out and, help me load weights or help me train or my coach or my handlers and stuff. And it's like they're all essentially wasting their time if I don't win. So I'm like, well, shoot, like, I'm going to freaking get the W because, like, everybody needs to get the W. I'm trying to make everybody, I want everybody to eat because I got paid.
Yeah, I sense that with you, it becomes a responsibility at that point. It's not only something you're going after for yourself, but you tend to then become responsible to everybody else that's a part of your team, part of helping you get to this point and get back to this point.
Right.
Make no mistake about it, before your injury, you were a great strongman.
Right.
It's not like this just all of a sudden happened.
I think I'm the best I've ever been, though, now. Maybe not like on a physical standpoint, but like mentally tough standpoint, I mean, I know myself very well, and I'm like, I don't think if I put my mental state right now into any other body of who I was in previous years, it would have been just crazy.
Well, listen, make no bones about it. You're a get the fuck out of my way kind of guy. And that's really where you've been this last year. And you ruffled a few feathers along the way.
Yeah, I know.
and you know that. In the way that you celebrate and the way that you go about your business, it's the way you do it. You take ownership of it. And we've had this conversation. You take ownership of it. But that's just who you are.
Right. And we talked, it's very compartmentalized. And I just want to go back on one point about overall responsibility. So I just want to mention, because I have a friend, John, who actually came out to help me train about, I don't know, probably half a dozen times for Clash. And he's a training partner of mine. And, it's hard to have a training partner when I'm so wanting to help my training partner as well. And he's like, no, dude, I'll just come out and like load your weights and help you time and help you build the equipment you need and do this and volunteering time. And his wife's like pregnant. Like they had the baby shower yesterday. Like had he not had a baby shower to come out. So like I said, man, I really appreciate you like sacrificing time to be with your pregnant wife to help me train. He's like, well, I don't train. I don't help you train to get eighth. And so that's kind of like what the expectation is. Like, even though he would be fine, like, if I didn't make the final, as long as I gave my best effort, he'd be fine with it. But I see it that way as like, I wouldn't waste my time to go help someone train that I believe that can win for them to slack off or pull out or whatever. So like I hurt myself in the competition and I was just like, oh shoot, like I can be a little crybaby and like be like, oh no, this is the one I lose and whatever. But I had so much riding on. I wanted to win. I wanted to retire. I wanted to go out with a W. I wanted to wear those gold shoes one time and then hang them up. So I just built that up with the people I told and also in my head. And it's like that storyline had to play out. And I mean, it was a blessing. It was like, what, half point or 1 point? It was really a freaking blessing. It happened. It's not all me. It's obviously some other things are occurring too. But yeah.
Always, right? Yeah, that's kind of the way it spells out. I mean, the way you celebrated that victory yesterday, I mean, there's a lot of emotion in that, man. Coming through those last couple events, or through the entire final, really. I mean, you were just letting it all hang out. Like, there was a lot of emotion there. And that's not contrived. I know that with you, Andrew. It's not contrived. I mean, that is some pure adrenaline that flows through you. Can you describe that to me a little bit when you're out there?
So I kind of built it up. So what happened is on the deadlift event, I pulled my lat, and I was really frustrated. So like throughout my whole career, like deadlift has been one of those events where it's like I lose some. It's kind of an event I kind of hold people off. So OSG it was the event where I basically placed like middle lower pack.
Right.
And that's the only like bad event I had.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And I've had that numerous times in my career. I've gotten zeros. I mean, I've had shows where I could have won if I would gotten one rep on a deadlift. So like I trained that really hard. Like I actually legitimately believed that I'd be like in the top 3 in that. And when I saw the numbers before me going, since I was in the last heat, I was like, I thought maybe I could potentially even win it. And to come out and get the first rep, be a little bit off, trying to find my groove, trying to set up to get how many reps I need to get on the last bar, and then just to feel like my right side of my body just like pop, and I could tell, it's not as bad as I think now potentially, but it's definitely like been very hard to move, and every injury is new, so I haven't ever torn my lat before or anything. But just knowing, like, I pulled one more rep, and I was like, yeah, if I go to 8 or 9 or whatever it would take to be in a decent position, I'm not going to do well. But that built a lot of emotion because, like, I only told my girlfriend and my older brother who's handling me, I was like, I tore my lat. Like, something's torn. And, like, I don't think we ever thought, like, we were going to stop.
Yeah.
It was just take ibuprofen, put balm on it, don't tell anyone.
Right.
I didn't tell Bobby, who was judging. He asked me. I was like, like, no one. And then, like I said, MJ mentality is, like, go out there and, like, you said you were going to do it. 3 events, suck it up. We got 1 more hour. And,
the way this unfolded yesterday, because that was key. That was key. As you know how close this got towards the end.
Yeah.
I mean, you were actually in a position in that final
mistake
event.
Essentially could have cost the whole competition.
Could have cost the whole competition.
I would have won 4 events and lost.
Or the ability not to endure it to get through those extra couple reps.
Oh, no, exactly.
Yeah. Because really, when you went into the stone over bar yesterday, which, of course, we always know that's going to move things around towards the end, you were actually going into that in third place.
Yep.
Yeah, which is crazy, right? Because you didn't really expect – I know you're with all these juggernauts in this class, but I know your mentality. You're like, I want to run this. It wasn't OSG, baby. I mean, you went into OSG final, and we can all say that was a very historic moment for you in OSG because you dominated the second day.
Right.
You dominated. It was just there was you and then there was everybody else. It was a bit different of experience out there yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, so I'll give credit to the other guys. I mean, obviously Dan and Matt are tremendous competitors, and Dan says it, it's about being consistent.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, if potentially, he did a little better or I didn't even work, well, I don't think I could have done worse on the deadlift. I'm pretty sure I got last. But, if he had won, it would have been because he was a better strongman because he was more consistent. And so, like, I won in a way that I normally wouldn't want to win.
Right.
I'd rather be top 3 on every event, or as he said, top 1 or 2, than to win 4 and get last on 1.
Yeah.
And that was never my intention. Like I said, I really think I was going to be top 3 on deadlift. But yeah, going against those guys really pushed me on the stone. And I think with the stone, it's like being backed into a corner. It's like, no, like you got to keep going. And I have run my mouth, and I just haven't posted it a ton. But like when I came back, I did the stone. I did kind of yell at the camera about like I don't think anyone can beat me at 105 at that. And then in August at the qualifier, I also said no one's going to beat me at that. So like I kind of like just built it up in myself. Like no one's gonna beat me at that. And Stone's like Stone. I don't particularly like the format as far as like how it works to get reps. Like obviously like you're like fighting another person, so it's motivating. But like every time difference is a little bit different, so it's not as consistent. But it definitely is a huge motivator to see someone like fatigue or make a mistake in front of you, and you know that you can exploit it by like just going faster on the next rep. So every time someone kind of struggled, or even when they tried to go faster than me, they tried to like best my time, I was like, no. And that's kind of what I did is I just like, I paced when they paced, and the second they tried to speed up, I sped up, or if they slowed up because, you know, overall fatigue, I was like, that's when you have to punch it. Like you got to just.
I think that's why that's a crowd favorite, because we can see that gamesmanship play out on that a little bit, and it's nice to watch. But you know what? You're going to have to send some chocolates to Bob Schwantz. You know that, right?
No,
Bob was the decider in that because it was such a close match towards the end. We needed a little help.
Well, I rep his brand all the time. I wear his shirts like probably like almost every other training session. Probably like every Thursday press day, I would like wear his shirt. So basically, I'm just repping his brand, and so he's got to kind of rep me here. But yeah, so that event was interesting because. But yeah, so Bob got second, right?
Yeah.
He came between some people.
I think you needed two guys between you and Dan in order to kind of leapfrog the way you did, which worked out perfect. And McKeegan being one of them was fine.
I think we should have done. We just run the people through again, and if I make it to the end, I get double points.
Well,
because I wanted 20 plus. I really wanted 20 plus.
Oh well, fuck, you won. That's not good enough. See, here we go again. I think that though
you got to hate me for something, right?
That is well. Listen, that is the great thing about the sport, right? Because no matter what place you guys are in, going into any competition, it's 100% effort on every event. And thank goodness for the integrity in our sport.
Right.
Because guys could easily just say, I'm not putting into this one because I'm not on the podium. It doesn't matter.
Oh, I thought the guys did really. I think the Stone, because you're going against another guy, it makes it a lot harder to like if you were doing like a medley or just like a stone over bar, it'd be easy to go out there, like touch the stone, do one rep, and be like, 60 seconds, whatever, done.
Right.
But when you got another guy who you've told yourself, hey, I'm going to beat this guy, or like I'm as good as him,
or I'm going to push this guy, right?
Right. Or like I'm going to steal one more point from him. I mean, I didn't watch the whole Stone thing because obviously I'm getting ready, but from what I saw, everybody was very motivated to better themselves on the Stone event. They didn't accept their placing very much.
That's right. And I don't think we ever really see that with you professionals anyhow. It doesn't work like that. But so listen, the big question is, big question is, what now?
So yeah, everybody like, I guess retirement, people think like I go on to go do heavyweight strongman and stuff. And
rumor has it. I mean,
I don't necessarily have big plans for like heavyweight strongman. I think one of the things that killed me the most over these past couple of years is like, I wanted to be invited to the inaugural clash, made that very clear. I also made it very clear that I definitely deserve to be there. And I made it very clear this weekend that they messed up.
Yeah.
They messed up. And most people have said, yeah, man, you should have been there. I'm like, good. That's all I needed to hear was that. And it sounds really bad to say after,
well,
over 2 years.
Goals, right? That was a part of the goal.
Right. I mean, it's just sending a message. But, I wanted to go back and do that. I couldn't do it. And I just kind of wasted a lot of time trying to, like, solidify my legacy in 105, which I feel like in some ways was just never as good as some of the other guys. I didn't get as much time at the top. So I kind of just wanted to end on a good note, and everybody assumed they're going to go heavyweight. But honestly, I mean, I have other things to focus on in life and stuff, and I just don't enjoy having to like prove myself. Like I've already done it multiple times in the same year, and it's just really silly to me. So I kind of just want to like train if I feel like doing a heavy show, or I feel like if I want to do an international show and they're like, hey, like we got a max axle, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll peak for that. But I don't want to go through all the hoops, and that's what it kind of got to be is like I'd already put all this time and effort and proved that like I can do really hard stuff, and 105 is a subclass of where I originally started. So I just thought, well, by proxy, I would be qualified, and I wasn't. And so now I'm jumping through all these hoops, and when you get stronger or you have more time in the game, you start getting hurt because you're peaking too often or training too often, or a lot of guys got hurt in this competition. It's a hard competition, so it's like every competition becomes more and more of a risk the older I get, and I just don't think it's worth it for the things I got going in my life as far as trying to build a business, a family, and some other things going on.
Well, that's a really I guess that's what we would consider a mature way of looking at things, right? But I guess so. What we're going to say here is it's not the fat lady's not singing yet.
No, I just said 105 because like I mean, let's be honest. If somebody calls me on a 105, I really hope they type whatever they're going to say, sit on it for 24 hours before they send it, because I remember everything that people say.
Yeah.
And I promise to God, like, I could easily do it again.
Yeah.
Not easily. I shouldn't say easily because everybody's getting better. But I am capable of doing it again. And so that's all I want is just people. I just want respect in the sport. And I respect everybody in the contest. I don't think anyone in the contest has done any disrespect to me. It's just I wanted respect and ending on a respectful note. And I think winning OSG and winning Clash in the same year, essentially coming off of not training strongman for like 2 years, is pretty much saying like, hey, like, don't poke me. So,
well, I certainly can say this on behalf of the entire community. You are a champion, and you put the work in to get there, and nobody can ever take that away from you. I hope people contend you, because I like to see this in Andrew Clayton, and I think we all kind of, in our own perverse way, want to see you sort of get mad again, because you proved a point, and I appreciated watching you the last couple shows, and I'm hoping it's not over with. But when you're ready to make that comeback, or somebody, you get a hold of me first.
I'm not going to quit strongman. I'm still going to do some competitions. I'm just not going to do 105. You know, it's costly for the weight cut and stuff. And you know, I kind of said it. You know, there's like another era of 105s, and like as long as people remember that there were guys, like I still remember guys that were pro from like 2009, 2010, and like the impressive YouTube videos they put out. So I just kind of I wanted to leave a taste in people's mouth of like, hey. Like, I know we're coming up where we got some really good guys coming up. Like, don't forget that just like 3, 5, 7 years ago, there were some absolute monsters. I'm not talking about just myself. I'm talking about, like, you know, there was Furman, DeMarina's, like, obviously Camby. Like, these guys are all monsters. And, like, if you forget those people, it's a really big disrespect to the weight class.
And that's true, because there's a history in this sport that we've all come to sort of. There's a huge undercurrent of respect for that, right?
Right.
Because there's that history, and I agree with you. And what's really exciting too is that now we're seeing some new faces come up. A couple guys that I pointed out are like Vince Wilkinson and John Alamo, right? These young guys, right? I mean, you got to love seeing that.
I compliment both of them. I said to Vince, you know. There's two things he did that demonstrate that he's a competitor to me. I don't want to say I psych people out, but I mean, I've gotten to the point where I can kind of tell who has the mental fortitude to like compete with someone like myself, because I'm in it to win, and I'm going to find a way to like win. But before one of the events, I was really cocky, and I was trying to see if that strategy would work against him. And he was like, well, I'm not going to give it to you easy. And I was like, that's what I want to hear. It's like those types of things are like what I want to hear from a competitor, because the second you, like, I don't think ever in my career I put anyone on a pedestal, like maybe like Brian Shaw, like, you know, people are unrealistic to beat, you know.
Sure.
But even like Brian Shaw, I think I technically have a higher axle attempt or higher axle clean and press than he's done in competition. I'm like pretty sure, or the same. So, like, I still, like, was creeping up. I'm never going to beat Brian Shaw.
Right, but there's moments that you can take.
Right. There's little small things I can win. But, yeah, so he said that. And on the arm-over-arm pole, he adapted his form to the event. And he didn't train it. And that's, like, such an elite-level thing to do. So, like, I'll give people, like, their compliments because I see that. And then for Johnny, like, you know, I mean, he tore his hands up. He kept going. You know, he didn't complain. And he was on another podcast where he said he always bet on himself. You know, and I'm like, I want someone that
sounds like Andrew Clayton.
That's what I'm saying. I literally had the same quote on my wall, so I'm like, okay, so this guy, and John, and he was someone who I was afraid of, the sense of like when you go against someone who's hungry. Like, I've been that hungry competitor, had nothing to lose and reckless. I don't think he's a reckless competitor, but like he was someone that I don't want to say scared me, but it's like, okay, well, like, I got to make sure he knows from the get-go that this is my show to win, because if you give someone like that some space, they're hungry. They're gonna just take it all up. So yeah, I have a lot of respect for both those guys, and it's and the whole group was good. I'm just saying that, you know, obviously Vince made the finals, and it's just good to see guys that, even though they're young or maybe a little fresher in the sport, they're not intimidated by someone who is loud and all his handlers are hyping him up, and he's, you know, throwing shit and, like, you know, all this kind of stuff. Like, I mean, I do that stuff because it is part of who I am, but like, come on, I also know that how you walk around and carry yourself is it radiates on other competitors, and it can affect their mental psyche, especially
if you play the mental game. There's no doubt about that. You know, I think and if guys don't understand that, shame on them, because you like to play that game. I watch you, and I see what's going on, and I see where you're picking and choosing your punches, you know, and I think a lot of us can respect that about you, because it does bring the best out of other people as well. And I think despite what anybody's thoughts are about anything, all we can ask for our competitors to do is bring the best out of one another. And there ain't no doubt that you've done that with a lot of guys.
And I don't want guys to get hurt. You know, a lot of guys got hurt at this. Like, I don't think I've competed with Tommy Sharp, and, you know, he has to have the best day. Jesse Nelson, he wasn't able to make the finals. He got hurt. O'Connor, like I want those guys to do well. So I'm willing to help them and give them gear and stuff like that. And because like I don't, it's the same way. Like it's the same way I feel. Is like you're not getting invited to the first clash. Is you not being able to go against me, and I want you to go against the best. And I believe I'm one of the best American in this weight class. So if you get hurt, you are inhibiting my ability to go against the best because I believe you could also be one of the best. So I want everybody healthy, strong, peaked, knowing the events, getting the same warm-ups, same equipment, not losing their suitcase because they're flying internationally, able to make weight the first try.
Right.
As long as it's fair and standardized. And then when we go and when it's scored, the judging's fair. And when we see the numbers, like that's who is the best, not, oh, but this, oh, but that, oh, injuries. I want everybody healthy, everybody doing their best. And then at the end of the day, we can all say, hey, man, that was a good show. I appreciate you for doing your best. And that's what I love about sports. It's
I think
it's
in
the
our
equalizer.
community in particular, I think everybody that resonates with all of us. And I think every guy out there would say the exact same thing, and certainly you are the champion. It's got to feel good, and I know you're going to have some moments to yourself now and taking back with your family and thinking about the future. But once again, Andrew, I appreciate you joining me.
I appreciate it, Joe, and I really appreciate all the stuff you do to help strongman out. I think a lot of people don't understand how much that helps the community. Just getting I watch I listen to the podcast and stuff, and just getting all the new guys to get a little airtime. I know for me, getting my first interview after I went pro. Back then, it was like you had to go pro to get on a podcast.
Yeah.
And it just meant the world to me to have somebody interview me and talk about my life. And so I think a lot of these guys are really going to be appreciative of somebody picking out their life and figuring out who they are. And it's going to burn. It's going to light their fire a little bit.
Well, hey, listen, if I could do my part, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
No problem.
All right, brother.